Hello and welcome to quiz class. Today we have 100 questions on general knowledge. And today's is a difficult one. Let's take a look at our quiz class awards. And here they are. And our categories for today: scientific theories, philosophical theories, economic theories, political and psychological theories. Let's begin with scientific theories. Which evolution theory incorporating metaphysical elements was later developed by Alfred Russel Wallace? Natural evolution, quantum evolution, or spiritual evolution? Spiritual evolution. Who addressed the issue of the time required for beneficial mutations to spread in evolution? Ernst Mayr, J.B.S. Haldane, or Charles Darwin? J.B.S. Haldane. Inclusive fitness explains the benefits of behavior that reduce individual fitness in a population of what? Kin, genes, or body? Genes. Convergent evolution describes the process by which two what evolve similar traits independently: genes, ecosystems, or different species? Different species. Stephen Jay Gould and Niles Eldredge proposed which theory as a contrast to Darwin's gradualism? Genetic drift, adaptive radiation, or punctuated equilibrium? Punctuated equilibrium. Who proposed the theory of the twin paradox in special relativity? Albert Einstein, Erwin Schrödinger, or Werner Heisenberg? Albert Einstein. In general relativity, which concept describes the warping of space-time by mass and energy? Gravitational lensing, space-time curvature, or quantum entanglement? Space-time curvature. Eddington's 1919 solar eclipse experiment provided empirical evidence supporting which theory? General relativity, special relativity, or quantum mechanics? General relativity. The point of no return for matter and light is the context of what? Pulsar, black hole, or neutron star? Black hole. What does Einstein's equation E equals mc squared imply? Mass is constant regardless of energy. Energy and mass are convertible, or energy and mass are unrelated? Energy and mass are convertible. Whose theory does the double slit experiment demonstrate about particles like electrons? Niels Bohr, Richard Feynman, or Werner Heisenberg? Niels Bohr. Position and momentum cannot both be precisely measured is from which principle? Planck's constant, Pauli exclusion principle, or Heisenberg uncertainty principle? Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Which quantum mechanics interpretation suggests all outcomes occur in parallel universes? Pilot wave theory, Copenhagen interpretation, or many worlds interpretation? Many worlds interpretation. Einstein, Podolsky, and Rosen used the EPR paradox to challenge which mechanics? Statistical, quantum, or relativistic? Quantum. It measures disorder in an information system. This is the concept of entropy, enthalpy, or free energy. Entropy. The fine-tuning problem in cosmology is also known as anthropic, horizon, or matter principle. Anthropic principle. The idea that all physical phenomena are explained by fundamental laws is reductionism, mechanism, or materialism. Reductionism. Which concept states that a system can exist in multiple states simultaneously until observed? Superposition, entanglement, or quantum tunneling? Superposition. Cosmic inflation explains the uniformity and what of the universe? Flatness, complexity, or expansion? Flatness. Who is considered the father of quantum physics? Max Planck, Niels Bohr, or Werner Heisenberg? Max Planck. Let's move over to philosophical theories. Which existentialist philosopher argued that existence precedes essence? Sartre, Albert Camus, or Friedrich Nietzsche? Jean-Paul Sartre. Existential angst describes the anxiety in realization of one's fate, freedom, or knowledge. Freedom. Which existentialist work explores the absurd through a man's search for meaning? Nausea, Fear and Trembling, or The Myth of Sisyphus? The Myth of Sisyphus. Denying one's freedom and responsibility by adhering to societal roles is known as nihilism, absurdism, or bad faith. Bad faith. Martin Heidegger is known for the idea of being toward death, and that is the answer. Which principle is Jeremy Bentham famous for? The will to power, the categorical imperative, or the greatest happiness for the greatest number? The greatest happiness for the greatest number. The criticism of utilitarianism that leads to marginalizing minority rights is known as the harm principle, the veil of ignorance, or the tyranny of the majority. The tyranny of the majority. The utilitarian ethics approach that seeks to fulfill the preferences of all sentient beings is known as act utilitarianism, negative, or preference utilitarianism. Preference utilitarianism. David Pierce, focusing on the reduction of suffering, is the concept of act, negative, or preference. Negative utilitarianism. Which work by John Stuart Mill addresses the qualitative differences between pleasures? A System of Logic, Utilitarianism, or the Subjection of Women? Utilitarianism. The mind and body are separate and interact causally according to idealism, physicalism, or Cartesian dualism. Cartesian dualism. Frank Jackson proposed the concept of idealism, property dualism, or logical positivism. Property dualism. The belief that mental states are mere byproducts of physical states is physicalism, dualism, or epiphenomenalism. And the last one is the answer. The interaction problem argues that it cannot explain how physical states cause mental states, two distinct substances interact, or mental states are merely byproducts. Two distinct substances interact. Which philosopher is known for logical behaviorism? Gilbert Ryle, B.F. Skinner, or Ludwig Wittgenstein? Gilbert Ryle. What is the difference between ontological dualism and epistemological dualism? Ethics versus metaphysics, types of knowledge versus personal experience, or substances versus knowledge? Substances versus types of knowledge. The constraints that limit freedom are known as facticity, bad faith, or absurdism. Facticity. John Rawls is famous for his concept of the veil of ignorance, the social contract, or the greatest happiness principle. The veil of ignorance. In which work does Friedrich Nietzsche declare God is dead? The Gay Science, Beyond Good and Evil, or Thus Spoke Zarathustra? The Gay Science. Which theory claims human experiences are fully explainable by physical processes? Idealism, physicalism, or dualism? Physicalism. Let's go on to economic theories. James Tobin developed which concept related to ineffective monetary policy? Tobin's trap, Tobin's Q ratio, or Tobin's paradox? Tobin's Q ratio. What is the paradox of thrift in economics? Saving leads to higher inflation rates. Higher savings increase interest rates, or increased saving can reduce overall economic growth. Increased saving can reduce overall economic growth. What role do automatic stabilizers play in the economy? Regulate money supply, manage exchange rates, or stabilize economic fluctuations? Stabilize economic fluctuations. Which is a Keynesian approach to fighting unemployment? Lower taxes, increase government spending, or A and B? A and B are correct. Effective demand is crucial in managing economic cycles and was introduced by Adam Smith, Milton Friedman, or John Maynard Keynes. John Maynard Keynes. The responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in price is called supply elasticity, elasticity of demand, or demand responsiveness. Elasticity of demand. Shortage happens when market quantity demanded exceeds quantity supplied, quantity produced, or quantity available. Quantity supplied. Who is attributed with the theory of the law of diminishing marginal utility? Adam Smith, Carl Menger, or David Ricardo? David Ricardo. What happens when a price is set below equilibrium? Surplus, shortage, or inflation? Shortage. Which law states that an increase in the price of a good leads to an increase in its quantity supplied? Law of supply, law of demand, or law of equilibrium? Law of supply. Labor exploitation is the primary source of which type of profit? Surplus profit, capitalist profit, or marginal profit? Capitalist profit. The class struggle Marxist concept describes the conflict between which two classes? Bourgeoisie and proletariat, capitalists and entrepreneurs, or middle class and working class? Bourgeoisie and proletariat. In Marxist theory, what is the value added to a product through labor called? Market value, surplus value, or economic value? Surplus value. Commodity fetishism refers to the false perception of the inherent value of commodities, undervaluation of labor, or social relationships obscured by commodity value. And the last one is the answer. The creation of a classless and stateless society is predicted to be the outcome of which revolution? Socialist, proletarian, or communist? Proletarian. Whose theory is the multiplier effect? Milton Friedman, Friedrich Hayek, or John Maynard Keynes? John Maynard Keynes. Classical economics believes that market economies are self-regulating through which hand? Visible, invisible, or market? Invisible hand. Who popularized the rational expectations hypothesis in economics? Robert Lucas, Friedrich Hayek, or Milton Friedman? Robert Lucas. The influence of material conditions on societies is called historical materialism, cultural materialism, or economic materialism. Historical materialism. Which model suggests government intervention can stabilize economic cycles? Monetarism, Keynesian economics, or supply-side economics? Supply-side economics. Let's move over to political theories. John Locke is known for the development of what type of liberalism that emphasizes the social contract? Classical, social, or modern? Modern liberalism. What is the modern variant of liberalism called? Economic liberalism, neoliberalism, or social liberalism? Neoliberalism. It is irrelevant as long as everyone has equal opportunity. This describes the view of egalitarianism, libertarianism, or social liberalism. Libertarianism. That one is a hard one to say. An agreement to form a government to protect rights is called a constitutional pact, rights accord, or social contract. Social contract. Checks and balances is a liberal concept that advocates for the separation of powers, wealth, or rights. Powers. Karl Marx examines the development of which aspect of society? Economic classes, social hierarchies, or political classes? Economic classes. In socialist theory, to implement socialism through democratic means rather than revolution is known as democratic socialism, revolutionary socialism, or Marxist socialism. Democratic socialism. Economic redistribution aimed at reducing income inequality is a feature of which policy? Free market, laissez-faire, or socialist? Socialist policy. This group of unrealistic ideals for society is known as idealism, utopianism, or romanticism. Utopianism. State socialism advocates for a planned economy where the state controls market prices, production, or labor markets. Production. According to this theory, states take actions to increase their security and power. Is this Marxism, realism, or constructivism? Realism. The idea of realism without a supreme authority is anarchy, hierarchy, or sovereignty. Anarchy. Defensive realism in realist theory believes that states' primary motivation is to accumulate power to ensure what? survival, national security, or both A and B? Both A and B. In realism, what is the term for balancing power by forming alliances? Power politics, balance of power, or strategic alliances? Balance of power. It serves the interests of the most powerful states. Describes what? Collective security, international law, or hegemonic stability? Hegemonic stability. Which work by Jean-Jacques Rousseau discusses the formation of societies, the wealth of nations, the social contract, or discourse on inequality? Discourse on inequality. The integration of socialist principles is referred to as state socialism, revolutionary socialism, or democratic socialism. Democratic socialism. Hegemony is used by powerful states to advance their interest, influence, or security. Interest. Political liberalism focuses on the importance of theocratic governance, democratic governance, or authoritarian governance. Democratic governance. Which form of socialism uses a gradual approach through existing institutions? Democratic, state, or revolutionary socialism? Democratic socialism. And let's move over to psychological theories. Leon Festinger is the pioneer of which theory? Social learning, cognitive dissonance, or attachment theory? Cognitive dissonance. In cognitive dissonance, the inconsistency between a decision is known as cognitive conflict, dissonant cognition, or post-decision dissonance. Post-decision dissonance. Which method helps reduce cognitive dissonance after a decision? Denial, acceptance, or rationalization? Rationalization. Which cognitive bias gives more weight to material that supports beliefs? Anchoring bias, confirmation bias, or hindsight bias? Confirmation bias. How do political attitudes fit into the idea of cognitive dissonance? They increase dissonance, they remain unchanged, or they adapt to reduce dissonance? They adapt to reduce dissonance. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-fulfillment is emphasized at which level? Safety needs, self-actualization, or physiological needs? Self-actualization. According to Maslow, physiological needs must be met before someone can seek belongingness and love, pursue safety needs, or pursue self-esteem. Pursue self-esteem. The need for respect is an example of which needs: self-esteem needs, safety needs, or physiological needs. Self-esteem needs. Self-justification occurs when an individual's behavior contradicts their goals, values, or social norms. Values. According to Freud, which is responsible for moral standards? Id, ego, or superego? Superego. According to Freud, which includes hidden thoughts and memories? The ego, the superego, or the subconscious? The subconscious. Control and independence during toilet training occur in which state of Freud's theory? Oral, anal, or phallic? Anal. Which Freud defense mechanism involves attributing one's own unacceptable feelings to others? Projection, repression, or displacement? Projection. What is the purpose of free association in Freud's therapy? To establish trust, to reveal unconscious thoughts, or to create coping strategies? To reveal unconscious thoughts. How does cognitive dissonance affect decision-making? By enhancing certainty, by reducing consistency, or by increasing consistency? By increasing consistency. In Maslow's hierarchy, which level is foundational for self-actualization? Belongingness, safety needs, or physiological needs? Physiological needs. Freud's theory of psychosexual development suggests early childhood experiences impact personality, intelligence, or behavior. Personality. Which concept explains why individuals maintain a positive view of their decisions despite negative outcomes? Justification, rationalization, or both A and B? A and B. How does Freud's id, ego, and superego explain internal conflicts? By managing conscious thoughts, through unconscious desires, or through competing desires? Through competing desires. Which Freud's component seeks gratification based on the pleasure principle? Id, ego, or superego? id. And our bonus question, who is the father of psychoanalytic theory? Let us know the answer in the comments. And let's take again a look at the quiz class Einstein rewards. Remember to let us know how you rank. This was a difficult one. And as always, thanks for playing this quiz. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.